Kelly and welcome back to my channel. Kelly loves books and movies. Today I am going to talk about the 9 books that I have read so far this year. The year is 1/3 over. Can you believe that? A third. First off, in January, while I was on vacation, I read Where the Deer and the Antelope Play by Nick Offerman. It's kind of in 3 parts. The first part is stories about when he was hiking. The second is stories when he was on farms, when he lived and worked or visited farms. And then the third part is about stories when he and his wife took a RV across the country during the pandemic. I really enjoyed this. I'm kind of outdoorsy, so it kind of, resonated with me a lot more than maybe other people will, especially the hiking section. Definitely worth a read. Second up, Hiroshima. This is a book by a journalist who interviewed people who were there at the time that the bomb went off and how it affected them. And then he also went back and talked to them, I think like 40 years after. After all the Oppenheimer hype last year, I kind of wanted to read a little something on the other side of the story. So I saw this in the bookstore one day and picked it up, and it's definitely worth your time. Fascinating. It's it's not an easy, it's short. It's an easy read in that way, but obviously it tackles tough subject, but it's definitely worth your time. Third was Dirty 30, Janet Ivanovich current. I felt it was one of her better ones in years. The main mystery is pretty good. Lula has her own little mystery going on, which is kind of fun. Not enough grandma. Grandma's my favorite. I always want more grandma. And it did kind of end on a sort of a cliffhanger. So I'm looking forward to 31 to see where that goes. Next up was Resurrection Walk, the current Michael Connelly book. It's a Lincoln lawyer novel. I started reading Michael Connelly books in 2017 from the beginning, and it's taken me, I think last year I was kind of current, and then this was on my holds at the library for a long time, and I finally got it earlier this year and read it. It was pretty good. Harry is investigating a case for Mickey, who has set up his own Innocence Project kind of thing, and the mystery was pretty good. And then there's kind of a little trails that didn't go anywhere, but overall pretty good. And now I'm caught up finally on Michael Connelly. Next up was Paddle Your Own Canoe, which was Nick Offerman's autobiography. He grew up in a small town in Illinois. It goes from there all the way through college, his theater time in Chicago, and then eventually to Hollywood. It was interesting, but not my favorite, I could say. I preferred Paddle Your Own Canoe much more. Next up was The Soul of an Octopus. This was my favorite so far of the year. I thought it was interesting to learn the author followed the lives of some different octopuses that lived in the aquarium at, I think it's in Boston, I think. Anyway, I find octopuses fascinating. Ever since there was that documentary a few years ago now, My Octopus Teacher, which was pretty good. And I'm really into snorkeling, and I've never seen one, and even my friends have, but one of these days maybe I'll even get to see one myself. And in the book, it not only talked about those, it kind of, you got to learn a little bit more of the other little, sea creatures that lived at the aquarium, which I thought was interesting. And I think she has inspired me to finally get my dive certification. I've kind of been on the fence for a while, and in the book, the author, she was also on the fence and didn't really want to do it, but then she did it, and so she got to, explore and see octopuses in the wild, which she would not have been able to do if she had not done the dive certification. And I've been on the fence a while. And I have other friends who have said you should do it, so she might have convinced me to take the leap and do that before my trip next year to Panama, because there's apparently some great diving there and snorkeling too, and I love snorkeling, but maybe I will take the leap. The next book I got, I read My Sister the Serial Killer. When I got this at the bookstore, one of the ladies there was like, if you like Dexter, it's kind of Dexter-ish. And I was like, well, I don't necessarily like Dexter. I don't dislike Dexter. I've never really watched Dexter, but I know what it's about. And I thought, when I was browsing in the bookstore, I wanted something a little bit light. And I guess I wouldn't say light, but it's a fun story. It's about this woman and on what she will do to protect her sister. Her sister is a serial killer, and what she does to protect her sister from, the results of her serial killing. I really enjoyed it, and I think if you like it's not really a mystery, because obviously we already know that the sister is the serial killer, but interesting, fun read. I mean, it's serial killing. Is that fun? I don't know. It's a good read. Check it out. Okay, the next up was The God of Wild Places. Now, this book by Tony Jones. Now, I have read other, different Tony Jones stuff back from when he was like a big leader in the emergent church movement back in the early to mid zeros. I read a little bit and heard a little bit then. And then, since he's kind of local, he has been writing in the outdoor section in the Star Tribune for a while now, and I've read, a lot of his articles there that have been good. I was really looking forward to this. I, went out and got it pretty much when it came out. It's really short. I read it in a night. But I was kind of disappointed. I mean, not kind of disappointed. I was disappointed. I mean, it's good. If you don't know him at all, this probably is great. I just felt it was kind of missing something. I mean, I kind of know bits and pieces, and so reading, there was nothing new in here to me, so that's part of it. But also, it just seemed kind of disconnected. But, yeah, if you don't know anything of him at all, you probably wouldn't feel that way, and you might think, oh, that's pretty interesting. But knowing what I do, I just felt there was something missing. But overall, I mean, I don't know. I was really looking forward to this. So being disappointed is kind of, it is what it is, I guess. And then last up, Commonwealth by Ann Patchett. This is actually only the second Ann Patchett book I read. I read Bel Canto a long time ago. It's a pretty good story. I mean, there's a lot of characters. It goes from a couple families that are from divorce and then remarriage and the whole blended family and the kids, and then you kind of jump to when the kids are adults and what has transpired. There's a tragedy in the middle, and what goes on from there. The one thing, I don't know how old Ann Patchett is. I should have looked it up, because I felt like, okay, it takes place in, the kids are probably Gen Xers, maybe the older Gen Xers. So the book itself, it like treats like they were pretty much regular kids. I mean, they're the one had to spend time with the others in the summer because of the blended families, and they were pretty much left to their own devices and out doing their own things, running wild. And the book makes it sound like that was kind of unusual, but I'm a Gen Xer, and at that time that was kind of normal. I mean, most kids I know were that way, especially in the summers, running kind of wild, doing their own thing. Parents don't have any clue where they're at, kind of letting them, you know. And I mean, it's not central to the story, but it made it feel to me like that was kind of unusual, and these kids were, it was bad. And I mean, maybe it wasn't great, but that's kind of how we all were. So I don't know. I mean, if she was if Anne Patchett, I think she's older than me. I think she's probably a boomer, maybe a younger boomer, but that just seemed normal to me, and they made it seem like not a normal thing. And that's a really minor part of the book. I did like it. I definitely will be reading more of her stuff. And that's pretty much everything I've read so far this year. 1/3 over. January, March, April. Yeah. January through April. I've got a couple more things I've done. I mean, I've read more, but I'm not finished because I have a few other like bigger like biographies or more historical things that I've been reading for a long time that I keep, working my way through. So eventually I will finish them. So 9 books so far this year. Not a lot, but I only started this booktube thing a month ago, so now I'm reading a lot more than I did maybe at the beginning of the year. That's all of them. Let me know if you read any of these, what you thought. And is there anything like you really looked forward to and once you read it, it was kind of disappointing? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.